Welcome to today's video. If you've ever felt lost in modern dating, overwhelmed by mixed signals, or frustrated by the endless games people seem to play, this series is for you. We're diving into the world of high-value men, and more specifically, how they talk to women in a way that inspires respect, attraction, and lasting connection. Now, I want to be clear right from the start. This is not about cheesy pickup lines, fake confidence, or playing manipulative games. High-value men don't need tricks. What they use, consciously or unconsciously, is something much deeper. It's stoicism. It's emotional control. It's the ability to remain grounded in a chaotic world. And in this first part of our journey, we're going to break down the foundation of calm confidence in conversations. Because without this first principle, nothing else works. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been on a date, or even just talking casually with a woman, and suddenly felt yourself losing control? Maybe she said something unexpected. Maybe the conversation went in a weird direction. Maybe she teased you, and before you knew it, you were reacting emotionally. That one moment where you react instead of staying centered can undo everything. Why? Because women are not just listening to what you say, they're constantly reading how you handle pressure. They want to know, are you solid, or do you crumble the moment something doesn't go your way? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men crumble. They chase validation. They over-explain. They fidget. They laugh nervously. They try too hard to fill silence. And in doing so, they reveal exactly what they don't want to reveal, that they're not fully in control of themselves. High-value men, on the other hand, communicate something entirely different. When they talk to women, they project, I am calm. I am grounded. I am not shaken by little things. I don't need to impress. I already know my worth. That calm confidence, it's magnetic. Imagine this scenario. You're sitting across from a woman at a cafe. Things are going well, but suddenly she makes a playful, almost sharp comment. Maybe she says, wow, you're not really my usual type. Most men panic inside. They start backpedaling. Wait, what do you mean? Why not? What's your type? Am I not good looking enough? Do you not like this shirt? And just like that, they've lost. They've given away their frame. They've revealed insecurity. Now picture the high-value man. Same situation. She says, you're not really my usual type. He smiles lightly, keeps his composure, and calmly replies, that's probably a good thing. No overreaction, no defensiveness. Just calm, playful confidence. What just happened? In one short sentence, he communicated that he's not begging for her approval. He's unshaken. He's comfortable with who he is. And suddenly she's intrigued. This is Stoicism in real life. The Stoic man doesn't let outside circumstances dictate his inner state. Whether it's rejection, teasing, or silence, he stays centered. Think about Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. In his private writings, he constantly reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When it comes to dating and relationships, that's the mindset high-value men carry. They don't let the mood of the woman dictate their mood. They don't let a test or a teasing comment throw them off. They remain unshakable. Now let's get practical. How do you develop this calm confidence in conversations? Here are a few exercises you can start applying immediately. The power pause. Before responding to anything emotional, pause for just 2 or 3 seconds. Breathe. That small gap stops you from reacting impulsively and allows you to respond with composure. Detachment from outcome. Stop thinking of every conversation as a win or lose moment. If you're worried about impressing her or not messing up, you've already lost. High-value men detach from the outcome. Whether the conversation leads somewhere or not, their self-worth doesn't change. Controlled body language. Keep your shoulders back, your breathing slow, your movements deliberate. Anxiety leaks out through fidgeting. Confidence radiates through stillness. Reframe pressure. When she tests you, it's not a threat. It's an opportunity to demonstrate strength. Every time you pass a test by staying calm, her attraction grows. Here's something most men don't realize. In today's world, calm confidence is rare. Social media has trained people to seek validation constantly. Everyone's in a rush to speak, to react, to show off. So when a man enters a conversation and simply does not react emotionally, it immediately sets him apart. Women notice. They notice the man who doesn't break under pressure. They notice the man who doesn't need to chase or prove. They notice the man who sits calmly, smiles lightly, and speaks with purpose. That's the man they remember. I want to give you a challenge. The next time you're in a conversation, whether it's with a woman, a coworker, or even a friend, practice this. When something unexpected happens, do not react right away. Instead, breathe, smile, and let silence hang for a moment. You'll be amazed how much more control you feel. You'll notice how others lean in, waiting for your response, and you'll realize just how powerful calm confidence really is. So to recap part 1, calm confidence is the foundation of talking like a high-value man. Women are wired to test men and see how they handle pressure. High-value men don't react emotionally. They stay centered, calm, and composed. Silence, presence, and detachment from outcome are your greatest tools. If you master just this one principle, you'll already be standing out from 90% of men. But this is only the beginning. In part 2, we'll go deeper into speaking with purpose. How high-value men use fewer words but make every word count. So stick around, because we're only just getting started. Welcome back. In part 1, we laid the foundation. Calm confidence in conversations. We saw how high-value men remain centered, unshaken, and grounded in any interaction. Now in part 2, we're going to take the next step. Something that separates boys from men and talkers from leaders. It's about speaking with purpose. Because here's the truth. Most men destroy their chances not because they lack things to say, but because they say too much. Think about the last time you overheard someone on a date at a cafe or a restaurant. You'll notice something interesting. The man is usually talking nonstop. He's over-explaining, telling long stories that don't land, complimenting too much, or nervously filling every silence. Why? Because silence feels uncomfortable. Because he's afraid if he doesn't keep talking, she'll lose interest. But here's the paradox. The more you ramble, the less powerful your words become. High-value men know this. They don't fear silence. They don't speak just to fill space. They speak when it matters. And because of that, their words carry weight. Silence is not your enemy, it's your ally. When you pause, when you allow silence to sit between sentences, you're sending a powerful message. I am comfortable in my own skin. I don't need to impress you. I don't need to beg for approval. And women notice. Imagine you're sitting across from her. She asks you a question. Instead of blurting out the first thing that comes to mind, you pause, think, then respond slowly. That moment of silence makes her lean in. It builds anticipation. Contrast that with the nervous chatter most men fall into. Talking fast, filling every gap, desperate to keep her attention. Which man do you think she respects more? High-value men speak with intent. Every word has meaning. They're not there to entertain endlessly. They're there to connect. Here's the formula. Less volume, fewer words, more value, deeper, more thoughtful insights, clear intent, words chosen carefully, delivered with calm. When you do this, she stops seeing you as another guy trying to impress and starts seeing you as a man worth listening to. Most men, when meeting a woman, say the obvious. You're really pretty. Now, how many times do you think she's heard that before? 100? 1,000? It doesn't land anymore. A high-value man, on the other hand, speaks with purpose. Instead of the obvious, he might say, you have a really unique way of explaining things. I like how you think. Do you see the difference? The first compliment is surface level. It's validation seeking. The second is deeper. It shows he's actually paying attention. It invites her to share more. That's the power of speaking with intent. You move the conversation beyond fluff and into something memorable. Let's break this down into clear strategies you can practice right now. Slow your pace. Don't rush your sentences. Speak deliberately. This shows calmness and confidence. Embrace silence. After you make a statement, pause. Let it breathe. Let her respond. You don't need to fill every gap. Cut the fluff. Before you speak, ask yourself, does this add value? If it's just filler, hold it back. Shift the focus. Instead of trying to impress with long stories, ask meaningful questions. We'll expand on this in part 8. For now, remember, listening creates more value than endless talking. Here's why this works so powerfully. Women are constantly approached by men who try too hard, men who overshare, men who flood them with words, compliments, or stories. So when a man enters her life and doesn't do that, when he speaks calmly, purposefully, with weight, he immediately feels different. He feels grounded, mature, in control. She starts thinking, why is he so calm? Why isn't he rushing? Why does his silence feel so comfortable? And in that moment, her curiosity spikes. You've hooked her without trying. Now, I'm not saying you should never tell stories, but here's the key. If you tell a story, make it short, vivid, and purposeful. Instead of dragging out a 10-minute monologue about your college days, share a 2-minute story with a clear point, then stop. Leave her intrigued. For example, instead of telling her every detail about your recent trip, you might simply say, I went hiking in the mountains last month. There was this one moment at the top where I realized how much we all take silence for granted. That's it. Short, meaningful, and it sparks curiosity. She might ask, what do you mean? Now she's pulling the conversation forward. Here's a practical exercise you can do this week. Have a conversation with someone, anyone, and deliberately cut your speaking time in half. Instead of rushing to respond, pause before every answer. And when you do speak, choose your words carefully. You'll notice something fascinating. People lean in more. They listen more closely. They respect what you say more deeply. So let's recap part 2. Most men talk too much, ramble, and kill attraction. High-value men use silence as a tool. They speak less, but when they speak, their words carry meaning. They replace empty compliments with thoughtful observations. They understand that the goal is not to fill space, it's to create connection. When you master this, your conversations become powerful. You stop being just another guy and start being the man whose words actually matter. In part 3, we'll take things even deeper and explore something that terrifies most men: rejection. We'll talk about how high-value men handle rejection with emotional detachment and why that makes them even more attractive. Stick around, because this next part is where the real transformation begins. Now, in part 3, we're going to tackle a subject that most men fear, but high-value men master. We're talking about rejection, how to handle it, how to detach emotionally from it, and how, when you do, it can actually make you more attractive. Let's be honest. Most men are terrified of rejection. The thought of a woman saying no, the idea of not being wanted, shakes their confidence to the core. It's why so many men hesitate to approach. It's why they overthink every text. It's why they crumble when a date doesn't go as planned. They take rejection personally. They see it as proof they're not good enough, not attractive enough, not valuable enough. But here's the truth that high-value men understand. Rejection is not about you. It's about her. Her preferences, her mood, her timing, her world. None of that defines your worth. High-value men don't chase every woman. They know not every woman will like them, and they're fine with that. They don't flinch when they hear no. They don't spiral when someone isn't interested. Why? Because their self-worth doesn't depend on external validation. They've built their confidence from within. When rejection happens, they simply nod, smile, and move forward. No bitterness, no drama, no collapse of identity. And here's the paradox. Women are actually more attracted to men who handle rejection well. Why? Because it shows strength. It shows maturity. It shows he doesn't need her approval to feel good about himself. Picture this. 2 men ask a woman out. She tells both of them she's not interested. The first man's face drops. He looks defeated, maybe even a little angry. He mutters, "Okay, whatever," and walks away with his shoulders slumped. The second man, he smiles, keeps eye contact, and simply says, "Fair enough. I wish you the best." And then he walks away calmly, confidently, with his head held high. Now let me ask you, who do you think she remembers? The man who crumbled or the man who was unfazed? Exactly. This is the Stoic principle in action. The Stoic man understands that external events are not under his control. The only thing he controls is his response. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been." Rejection, then, is only as powerful as the meaning you attach to it. High-value men attach no meaning to it. They don't see it as proof of failure. They see it as part of life. Just another outcome, nothing more. So how do you develop this same emotional detachment? Let's break it down into steps. Detach from outcome. Before any interaction, remind yourself, I don't need this to go perfectly. My value doesn't change either way. Reframe rejection. Instead of "I failed," think, "This is information. Not every woman will align with me, and that's fine." Practice graceful exits. When she's not interested, smile, thank her for her time, wish her well, and walk away calmly. Invest in abundance. Don't pin your worth on one woman, one date, or one moment. The high-value man knows he has options. Scarcity breeds desperation. Abundance breeds calm. Here's where it gets interesting. When a man shows he can handle rejection without crumbling, without anger, without begging, it flips the script. She starts to wonder, why didn't that bother him? Most guys would have fallen apart. What makes him different? Sometimes the very act of staying calm in rejection can plant a seed of attraction later, because it communicates this powerful message. I don't need you to validate me. I am already whole. And ironically, that independence is what women crave. Think of it like a job interview. If you walk in desperate, nervous, and needing the job, the interviewer senses it, and it works against you. But if you walk in confident, knowing your worth, knowing you'll be fine either way, the interviewer feels that energy. And often, you end up getting the offer precisely because you weren't desperate for it. Dating works the same way. Rejection is not the end of the world, it's just feedback. And when you handle it calmly, you position yourself as someone with inner strength. Here's a challenge I want you to try. The next time you face rejection, whether it's small or big, practice this. Don't argue. Don't try to convince. Don't collapse into negativity. Simply smile, thank the person, and move forward with calm confidence. You'll notice something powerful. The rejection stings far less, and you walk away with your dignity intact. And over time, this habit rewires your brain. You stop fearing rejection altogether, because you know you'll be fine no matter what. So let's recap part 3. Most men crumble when rejected. High-value men don't. They know rejection doesn't define them. They handle rejection with calm, stoic detachment. They exit gracefully without bitterness or drama. And paradoxically, this makes them more attractive. Remember, women respect men who don't need their validation. In part 4, we're going to explore the next critical principle, maintaining composure in any situation. Because it's not just rejection that tests you, it's life itself. And the man who stays composed no matter what is the man who wins respect every time. Stick around. This next part is where we sharpen your ability to stay unshakable under pressure. Now in part 4, we move into one of the most underrated qualities of a high-value man, maintaining composure in any situation. Because here's the truth. Life will test you. Women will test you. Circumstances will test you. And the man who cannot stay composed will always lose respect. Think about it. A man can be handsome, he can be wealthy, he can be stylish, but if he loses his cool at the smallest inconvenience, all that vanishes. He becomes fragile, unstable, untrustworthy. Women don't feel safe around a man who explodes at small problems, who panics under pressure, who turns cold or needy when things don't go his way. On the other hand, a man who stays calm, even when everything around him is falling apart, radiates a quiet power. That's composure. That's Stoicism in action. The Stoics taught that you cannot control external events, only your response to them. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the very essence of composure. Traffic jam? Stay calm. Date running late? Stay calm. She throws a test at you to see if you'll break? Stay calm, because the moment you lose composure, you give away your power. Let's talk about something important here. Women test men. Not because they're cruel, not because they want to hurt you, but because they want to see what kind of man you really are when challenged. She might tease you. She might disagree with you sharply. She might give you silence just to see how you react. Most men get defensive, emotional, or angry. But the high-value man, he smiles. He stays relaxed. He treats it like a light breeze brushing past him, because he knows composure under pressure signals strength, and strength is magnetic. Imagine this. You're at dinner with a woman. The waiter messes up your order, brings the wrong dish. The average man loses composure. He complains harshly, he snaps at the waiter, his energy turns negative. The woman sitting across from him, she instantly feels less safe, less attracted. Now picture the high-value man. The wrong dish arrives. He calmly says with a smile, "Excuse me, I think this is the wrong order. Could we fix this?" No drama, no panic, no anger, just calm composure. Guess who she's more attracted to? Exactly. So how do you train composure? How do you stop yourself from reacting emotionally in the moment? Here are a few powerful strategies. Pause before you react. When something triggers you, don't respond instantly. Breathe. Give it 3 seconds. This pause often prevents emotional outbursts. Reframe the situation. Instead of "this is a disaster," ask, "what can I control right now?" Usually the answer is your tone, your body language, your words. Use humor. Playful humor is a sign of composure. If she teases you, tease back lightly. If something goes wrong, laugh it off. It shows you're not rattled. Keep your voice steady. Never raise your voice. A calm, steady voice communicates strength. A shaky or loud voice communicates insecurity. Let's connect this directly to talking to women. When a woman throws a test, maybe she ignores your message for a while, or challenges your opinion. The weak man panics. He sends a double text. He tries to prove himself. He gets reactive. The high-value man stays composed. He doesn't chase. He doesn't argue. He doesn't collapse. He simply continues being himself, calm, confident, unshaken. That's the man who earns respect. That's the man who makes her think, "This guy doesn't break. I can trust him." The Stoics often use the metaphor of a rock in the sea. The waves crash, the storms rage, the winds howl. But the rock, it stays firm, unmoved. That's composure. Women want to feel that when they're with you. That no matter what life throws at you, chaos, pressure, or tests, you remain steady. Because if you can't control yourself, how could you possibly lead or protect anyone else? Here's an exercise to build composure. The next time something minor goes wrong, maybe someone cuts you off in traffic, maybe you get bad service, maybe a text doesn't come when you expected, pause. Instead of reacting, simply breathe and ask yourself, is this worth my peace? 9 times out of 10, it's not. Over time, this rewires your brain. You stop being thrown around by emotions, and you start mastering them. So let's recap part 4. Composure is more powerful than looks, money, or status. Stoicism teaches us that our response matters more than the event. Women test men to see if they can remain composed. The high-value man responds with calm, humor, and steadiness. Composure builds trust, attraction, and respect. Remember, true strength isn't about force, it's about control. In part 5, we'll take this even deeper. We'll explore the art of active listening, a skill that, when mastered, makes women feel profoundly understood and connected to you. Stay tuned, because part 5 is where conversations stop being surface level and start becoming unforgettable. Welcome back. We've already covered calm confidence, speaking with purpose, handling rejection, and staying composed under pressure. Now in part 5, we dive into a skill that might be even more powerful than all of those combined, the art of active listening. Because here's the truth most men never realize. Women don't just want to be around a man who talks well, they want to be around a man who listens well. Most men think attraction is about saying the perfect line, impressing her with stories, or showing off knowledge. But high-value men know what you don't say is just as powerful as what you do say. Listening, really listening, makes a woman feel seen, understood, and respected. And when she feels understood, she automatically feels more connected to you. It's not magic, it's psychology. Why does listening work so powerfully? Because humans crave validation. We want to feel like our words matter, like our experiences are valued. When a woman speaks and you're not just waiting for your turn to talk, but truly absorbing her words, reflecting them back, asking thoughtful questions, suddenly you stand apart from every other man. Most guys interrupt. Most guys drift off mentally. Most guys listen only enough to reply. But you listen to understand, and that's unforgettable. Let's break this down into levels. Surface listening. This is when you hear the words but don't really process them. You nod, you say uh-huh, but you're not engaged. Conversational listening. This is when you hear her, but only to respond with your own story. She says, "I had such a stressful day at work." And you immediately say, "Yeah, me too. Let me tell you what happened." This feels like you're competing, not connecting. Active listening. This is the highest level. You're fully present. You listen not to reply, but to understand. You pick up on her tone, her emotions, the story behind the words. Then you respond in a way that shows you actually care. High-value men live at level 3. So how do you practice active listening? Here are some tools you can use right away. Eye contact. Don't stare her down, but hold soft, steady eye contact. It shows presence. Body language. Nod slightly, lean in when she's making a point. Your body should say, "I'm with you." Reflective replies. Repeat a key phrase she said. For example, if she says, "I felt overwhelmed at work today," you can say, "Overwhelmed? That sounds like it really drained you." This makes her feel heard. Ask deeper questions. Instead of just saying, "That's cool," ask, "What made it stressful?" Or "How did you handle that?" Silence. Don't be afraid of pauses. Sometimes letting her think and continue talking opens up a deeper layer of conversation. Picture this. She's telling a story about a disagreement with her best friend. Average man response. He half listens, checks his phone, and when she finishes, he says, "Yeah, drama like that is annoying. Anyway, let me tell you what happened with my boss." High-value man response. He listens closely, then says, "That sounds tough. You and your best friend are usually really close, right? What do you think caused that tension? Now, who do you think she feels more connected to?" Exactly. The second man. Because he didn't just hear her words, he validated her feelings. Now, here's something crucial to understand. Listening is not about becoming her therapist or sitting silently while she monologues. It's about creating emotional resonance. When you listen deeply, you create a mirror effect. She begins to feel her own emotions more strongly around you. And guess what? The person who makes her feel the most understood is often the person she feels the most attracted to. The Stoics often spoke about the importance of restraint and presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Listen kindly. Be attentive without intrusion." What does that mean? It means don't rush to solve. Don't rush to fix. Don't rush to dominate the conversation. Be fully there, because presence itself is a gift. Here's a practice you can try this week. When someone talks, whether it's a woman you're dating, a coworker, or even a friend, listen all the way to the end before replying. Instead of jumping in with your story, first reflect something back. Even a simple, "So what you're saying is," this one small change will make people instantly respect and trust you more. And in dating, it will make women feel like they've finally found a man who doesn't just talk at them, but actually gets them. So let's recap. Part 5. Active listening is more attractive than talking. Most men only listen to reply. High-value men listen to understand. Use reflective replies, ask deeper questions, and embrace silence. Listening builds trust, emotional connection, and lasting attraction. Remember, when you truly listen, you're not just hearing her words, you're hearing her heart. In Part 6, we're going to close this series with something powerful. How to leave a lasting impression. Because it's not just how you start a conversation, it's how you end it and how she remembers you. Stay tuned, because part 6 will tie everything together into the blueprint of a man women admire and never forget. Here we are. We've gone on a journey together through confidence, presence, rejection, composure, and active listening. But now we arrive at the most important question. How do you leave a lasting impression? Because at the end of the day, it's not just about how you start a conversation. It's about how she remembers you when you're no longer there. Psychologists call this the primacy and recency effect. It means people remember the first part of an interaction and the last part. Everything in between may fade, but how you enter and how you exit will stick. So yes, confidence at the start matters, but so does the way you close. A high-value man doesn't just fade away awkwardly, he leaves behind a memory, a feeling that lingers. Let's tie this into Stoicism. The Stoics believe that every moment should be lived fully, no matter how small. Seneca once said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." In conversation, this means even the ending is an opportunity to show composure, gratitude, and intentionality. So how do you make sure she walks away thinking about you in a good way? There are 3 elements. Energy. End the conversation with the same or even higher energy than you started with. If you started calm and warm, end with warmth and positivity. Gratitude. People remember how you made them feel. If you leave her with genuine appreciation for the time shared, she'll associate you with positivity. Closure with intention. Don't just trail off. Close with clarity. It could be as simple as, "I really enjoyed this talk. Let's continue it another time. Thanks for sharing that with me. It gave me a lot to think about." Intentional closure creates curiosity. It leaves the door open. Let's imagine 2 scenarios. Average man ending. He runs out of things to say, laughs awkwardly, checks his phone and mutters, okay, cool. I'll see you around, I guess." Forgettable. High-value man ending. He listens, smiles genuinely, and says, "I've really enjoyed talking with you. You've given me a new perspective. Let's pick this up later." Memorable. Which one do you think she'll replay in her head? Which one makes her look forward to the next interaction? Always the second. Now here's the thing. You can't fake your way into a lasting impression. It has to be rooted in authenticity. If you force a compliment, she'll feel it. If you try too hard to impress at the end, it'll seem unnatural. The real secret is, be present, be sincere. And when it's time to close the conversation, leave her with the most authentic version of you. Because authenticity lingers. Let me share an example. There was a man I once coached who struggled with endings. He'd either drag conversations too long or cut them off abruptly. One day he tried a new approach. He was speaking with a woman after an event, and instead of waiting for the conversation to fizzle out, he leaned in slightly and said, "I've really appreciated this conversation. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts another time. For now, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening." She smiled, and later she told him, "I don't know why, but I kept thinking about how you said that. It was so considerate." That's the power of a graceful ending. Think of it like this. The Stoics valued detachment, not in the sense of coldness, but in the sense of freedom. When you end a conversation, you should end it with calm detachment, not neediness, not desperation, but with the mindset of, "I've enjoyed this, and I'm okay whether it continues now or later." That calm detachment is magnetic. Here's a challenge. For the next 3 conversations you have, whether with a friend, coworker, or someone you're interested in, practice the art of intentional closure. End with energy, end with gratitude, end with intention. Notice how people look at you differently when you walk away with confidence instead of awkwardness. So let's tie it all together. We've spent these 6 parts exploring how high-value men talk to women. We've learned confidence isn't about words, it's about energy. Speaking with purpose creates authority. Rejection is an opportunity, not a failure. Composure under pressure builds respect. Active listening is the foundation of deep connection. And leaving a lasting impression makes you unforgettable. This is not about manipulation. This is about presence, composure, and living with the mindset of a Stoic. When you embody these principles, you don't just become better with women, you become better in every aspect of life. So my friend, as we close this series, remember this. High-value men are not defined by how much they talk, but by how deeply they connect. Not by how many women they impress, but by how they carry themselves in every moment. If you take these lessons and apply them, not just in dating, but in work, in family, and friendship, you'll notice a shift. People will respect you more. Women will be drawn to you naturally, and most importantly, you'll respect yourself. Because that's the ultimate goal, to live as a man of calm confidence, steady presence, and lasting impact. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now it's time for you to step out into the world and practice what you've learned. Because high-value men aren't born, they're built moment by moment, conversation by conversation, and that building starts with you today.